Good morning. Day 14. Feeling pretty good. Beautiful outside. It's that level of chill that I like because I can stay bundled up a little bit and still do my workout. I don't know, Dawn and Tanya, you're probably still bitching about it being too cold. I think it's funny when I think about that. Just watching you guys go, oh, it's too cold. Oh, this sucks. But it's actually like super nice. Just mess up with you. Oh yeah, I'm not supposed to use your names anymore. So, had a good thought over the last day or two. I made that video about discipline. And so I'm still relatively new at building content. So I've been asking select people to do, give me feedback on it. So I know, like, should I hold the camera this way differently? Should I look at the camera more? Is the stuff I'm saying understandable? Am I communicating properly? Not that I want to change any of the things I say, because that's me. It's coming from me, from my heart, the things I've learned, the things I understand. And at least the way I understand them for now. No, I might change in the future. That's part of getting older and gaining wisdom and understanding. The older you get, the more you realize you don't know. But so I asked for the feedback, and I get some feedback, and I got some pretty good feedback on a lot of the stuff. One, I came to understand that I'm going to have to speak at 75% because people like to listen to it at a high rate of speed, which means that they miss out on my tone of voice and the facial expressions I make. And tone of voice and facial expressions equal a large portion of what's being said, much more than the words being spoken. I do not listen to videos at high speed. I don't feel like I get the actual message when I do. But in any case, that's not my problem, that's your problem. You decide if you want to listen to it fast or not. So thought I had was based on some of the feedback I got. Someone that I asked, I'm breathing a lot now because I'm going uphill. Someone I had asked to give me feedback was a very trusted, respected friend of mine. And he had some really good feedback for me. It made me think a lot about my content and what I was saying and why I said it. And one of his feedback was to try not to alienate my listeners, or at least consider the matter, and that my reasons, my whys, that I should consider, they seem, whether they're shallow or the depth that I have wasn't expressed. So I thought about that, and I thought about that a lot. I'm like, okay, did I not describe what I was meaning well enough and all that? And I decided this video is probably not going to be as well appreciated because I keep pausing because this is a big hill. I should have gone the other way. Actually, no, it's a workout. I'm doing the right thing. Depth. Well, one, I decided after thinking about that feedback that I actually don't care about it alienating. If my content isn't for some people, then it's not for some people. That's okay. If somebody decides that me thinking of myself as a fat, disgusting slob when I can't look down and see all my skin without sucking it in is a problem for them, and they want to judge themselves, go for it. If that's such a problem for them that they don't want to listen to what I have to say, then they can choose not to do that. That's okay. I'm not calling anybody else a fat, disgusting slob. I literally don't see people that way. It's actually just how I would feel about myself. And if that alienates, then that alienates. They can choose not to listen to me. I'm okay with that. I have no problem with that whatsoever. When I give out content where I talk about my belief in God, my love for Jesus, people who aren't on that board, on that thing, sorry, people who don't feel that way, people who aren't interested in that, they don't want to listen to it, 100% don't. That's cool. I don't mind that at all. So I'm not worried about alienating. The other thing was, downhill is getting easier. So anyway, there's that. Now the other thing was depth. I thought about that quite a bit, and I think that there's a misunderstanding in what depth actually is, and what is actually shallow, and what meaning is. And sometimes I think it makes people feel like their reasons aren't good enough, and I don't think that that's fair. I don't think that's right. I think that's a wrong place to put people, or for people to feel about themselves. It's probably more of that. Probably not a lot of people running around telling you that your reasons aren't deep enough, making you feel bad. So probably a lot of people feel that way, just about themselves. So I'm glad I asked, because I wouldn't have thought about this if not for the feedback on that. And I think that that's plenty deep enough. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a quote-unquote shallow reason, because there's more to it than that. Maybe I'll explain that, and maybe that is the depth. I don't know. Metaphysical considerations. I do like me some good philosophy. This video is probably going to end up being longer than I want it to. That's okay. Don't watch it if you don't want to. I don't care. I care. Y'all, I'll explain why in a minute. I actually do care. But, I mean, I don't. So, I care, but I don't care. In any case, I'm going to say it. Take it or leave it. The depth. So, let me start with one simple thing. Almost every decision you make, almost everything you do, most of the things you consider, most choices, come down to a certain level of selfishness. Whether it's because you want to survive, whether it's because you don't want to be alienated from the tribe, whether it's because you want a specific result, even raising your children. Half the reason you want your children to be good kids is because you don't want to be perceived by others and judged by others as a bad parent. And if you think that that's not accurate, that's not true, you're lying to yourself, because that's definitely part of the equation. You're not doing anybody justice by hiding that. Yeah, you do. You want to be perceived as a good parent. And if you don't, that's probably kind of weird. It doesn't have to be the only reason you want to be a good parent, but that's definitely part of the equation. So, yeah, I want to be perceived as a good parent, so I try to raise my kids well. That's a reason, that's a why. That's not the only why, that is a why. The other why, I want them to grow up. I want them to be reasonably happy kids. I'm not trying to raise great children, I'm trying to raise good kids who can become great adults on their own. Why? Well, why? Because I want them to have great, successful lives, right? Why do I want my kids to have a great, successful life? Well, that's where it gets interesting. I think that in and of itself is a reason enough, but it really doesn't end there. This is where I like to kind of break into what it comes down to a lot for almost every decision. And a lot of people don't think about this. My close friends know that I think about this a lot. And that's the way that your brain works. There's the certain primal instincts inside of you. There's biochemical behaviors. There's physiological behaviors. Whatever the words are you want to use. There's chemicals in your brain that make you do things. And there's reasons that it happens. And when it comes down to your primal instincts, we ultimately are tribal animals. We are tribal, we are pack driven, and it's extremely important for us, right straight down to the most basic principle of our being. This is not conscious, this is subconscious, that we want to survive as part of the tribe. Alienation from the tribe equals death. That's our subconscious thought process. So when you think that you want your kids to be happy and survive and become great adults on their own and be capable of doing all these wonderful things, subconsciously, deep down inside, it's because you still want to be part of the tribe. And being part of the tribe means surviving. So you could choose to disagree with me on that if you want to, but that's a huge part of the situation. There's another thing to it too, and that's not just the only example either. But that's parenting, because it's a big one. That's something that people can try to be deep about. Parenting is a very big responsibility. It's an extremely important responsibility. It's the continuation of our species. But you want to be part of the tribe, and you don't want to be alienated. Imagine yourself as an old person back in the day before technology, being alienated from the tribe because you didn't raise your kids well or you didn't have any. It's certain doom. And that's why people had to take extra special care of widows. It is an important thing to maintain that. Give this car a second. I don't know why all these cars. There's so many cars lately. I live on a very quiet back road. I was probably just going to be trying to do videos. But in any case, that's that. So the other thing too is you have a reward system in your brain. It's dopamine, serotonin. I'll talk more about that in other videos. But the dopagenetic process in your brain has a lot to do with why you do things too. The dopamine system is the biggest reward system, emotionally speaking. It's the drive to do things. It's what drives you to do things. It's connected to hope. It's connected to seeking. And the vast majority of what you do in regards to planning and all that. So a ton of the decisions you make, a ton of them, are literally nothing more than your dopagenetic system at work. And that's about as deep as that goes, man. You want to plan ahead and have all these thoughts and all these things that you think is going to be wonderful for your life. And the reasons you're doing those is because that's actually your dopamine system working. And that's wonderful. That's a wonderful feeling. That's the human spirit right there. That's why you pursue goals. When you achieve those goals, that's when serotonin works in. And that's when you have victory. That's when you're happy. Ultimately, that's when your dopamine system crashes. And if you don't have another thing lined up to do, you typically go into a funk. And a lot of people have that problem. Celebrate too much, don't celebrate at all. It doesn't really matter. You don't have another plan. Well, there's an old saying that it's about the journey, not the destination. Now, I don't buy into that 100% because sometimes you really got to get your ass to that place. It's an emergency or whatever. But it's definitely true in regards to how your brain actually works. Because the planning, the plotting, the hope, seeking out of that goal, all those things are much stronger, much more important to your brain than actually getting the goal. And that's brain chemically speaking. So a lot of the choices you make, a lot of the reasons you do things are tied into that. So if you want to know why it's deep because of that. Now let's talk about some of my reasons. So reasons I mentioned in that video, being able to stretch, touch the ground. And that's important to me, right? Well, why is that important to me? That's important to me. I kind of mentioned it. One, because not too many people that are my age can do that. And as far as I'm concerned, that in and of itself is good enough. I'm not going to be fake. I'm not going to tell you that I have these super deep reasons for doing these things when I don't. That's not genuine. That's disingenuine. And I won't do that. I will tell you that I think that's good enough. But there's actually more. But if your reasons for doing something are just simply that, start there, man. That's okay. You don't have to have these super deep reasons. I want it to look cool. I enjoy the fact that when I can do that in front of my friends and we're being silly together and they can't, and they admire me for that, and I enjoy that. I like being admired for those things. That's okay. And I'll tell you why that's okay. That's okay for the exact same reasons you want to be a good parent. It goes right back to wanting to be part of the tribe, to be accepted as the tribe. Because when you're rejected, another thing about that, I got another video about rejection actually. It's the reverse problem, and it can be a minor rejection. You get rejected, it means subconsciously speaking. I'm not talking about the amount, and I'm not talking about what you think. I'm talking about how it affects your brain chemical process. Subconsciously speaking, you're being rejected. That means you're going to be, you have fear of being removed from the tribe, fear of losing your pack, and that equals death. In modern society, it doesn't really, but our brains are the same as they were before modern society existed. So that's what that is. Well, it's the opposite way around, right? You want to be accepted. That's why people show off. I'm okay with showing off. If you can do something cool, do it. It's really cool. You don't have to be a turd. I don't mean taking these things to the extreme. I mean regular human, normal behavior. So yeah, I want to show off. I want to stretch out. I want to touch the floor with my palms, with my knees locked and feet together, because it looks cool. And I get accepted for that. I get accepted for a lot of reasons, but that's a reason. That only needs to be that deep. But that is pretty deep when you really get into the fact that it's tied into being accepted to the tribe, to the pack. So there's that. Well, in that case, why is it important to me that I stay fit? Well, I want to stay fit because the same reason. It's exactly the same reason. So I'm not even going to get into any more detail than that. It's 100% the exact same reason as I want to look cool when I stretch with my friends. Okay? Well, there's another reason to both of those things. I want to be healthy. As you get older, it's harder to stay healthy. And if you lose it, it's harder to get it back. So just like if you're working with a pump, priming that pump, if you keep the pump primed, it's easier for the pump to do its job. Now, the more the pump does the job, it does wear out over time. But if you lose that prime, it's a lot harder to get it back. I want to stay healthy because it's, one, safe. That also is a primal instinct. Safety. You want to survive. It's not the same part as the tribal instinct, but it's still a survival instinct. Two, when you look good subconsciously, and when you're accepted subconsciously, you're seen as a good mate. And reproduction is a primal instinct as well. Now, I'm a married man, so my aim there is to impress my wife. Now that, my friend, that's a real good reason. But so yeah, I want to stay healthy and I want to look good. And I don't think that those are shallow reasons, and those are the reasons. Now, like I said, I want to be a good influence. That's important too. That's a conscious choice. That's not a subconscious reason. That's probably actually it's probably the least deep. That's the one that I'm choosing to do. That doesn't go deep down into the brain. But the great reason anyway. Being a good influence on humanity, on other people. Well, at least I hope I am. I definitely make mistakes. But when I try to be healthy and when I think about these things and I read the books and I spread the information that I learned to other people, that's what you can do, man. If you want to make this world a better place, you do that. You learn something, you do what you're supposed to do, you pass that information on to other people, and that's what I'm trying to do. So I won't say any more than that about the depths of my reasons. I hope I gave you guys some good things to think about today. I know I gave myself some good things to think about today. And I have some other videos later on about things like dopamine, serotonin. I listen to a lot of speakers talk about those things, and I really like the information, so I want to share it. And keep on letting you guys know how things are going. All right, have a good time. Bye.